BaconBit time. It's BaconBit time.
If this doesn't scare you, I can't come up with a rhyme. There we go.
Have you ever realized that DeVille is spelled the same as devil?
It is not, because there's a space in there, Zach.
But the letters are the same.
The Wedos?
I have seen
The Wedos are the same.
The Wedos are the same.
Hey, everyone, welcome to this Bacon Bit, where
Yes.
we will be reviewing Cruella.
So we will doing a spoiler-free version here at the beginning. A review with no spoilers whatsoever here at the beginning. We will let you know, probably with that same song, when we're going to start spoiling the movie.
Totally.
So be prepared for that. But the new live-action Cruella on Disney Plus and in theaters.
And in theaters. So Disney Plus premiere. So it will be $30.
Yeah, so we're going to let you know.
The end of the year?
And we'll let you know before we go into the spoiler full section if it's actually worth the money on Disney Plus.
And we did just watch this movie, so hopefully you guys have had a chance to let it kind of stew.
It has been 10 minutes.
So this movie is 2 hours and 14 minutes, people.
Wow.
And this is not quite garnered toward children. This is PG-13.
It is PG-13, which was interesting to me. How
I actually think it's just because of a couple of key things.
and that's true. Like they didn't. It's not like they dropped any F words or anything like that. Nothing.
No,
like that at all.
actually no noticeable language.
By contrast, by the way, I wanted to point this out. The original 1961 101 Dalmatians is 79 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just want to point that out.
And just real quick on that one too, on Disney Plus, it does say it's 2 hours and 17 minutes, but there's tons of credits at the end of everything on
It's
Disney Plus.
Nearly
Yeah.
10 minutes.
They do like those thing where it goes silent and then it just shows all the different.
It's like
languages.
WandaVision credits.
It starts streaming May 28th on Premiere Access. That's $30. And then on August 27th, it will be available for all subscribers.
So just in case you guys don't know what this is about, without spoiling the movie, IMDb, you're kind of walking a line here. It says, a live-action prequel feature film following a young Cruella de Vil.
wow.
Spoilers.
Wow,
Kent.
I know.
Woof.
I know. I should have waited. But I kind of want to get back to, before we talk about like our own personal thoughts, is I think they were going with the runtime of the movie, with the rating of the movie. I don't think they want as many kids watching this one.
No.
Which is where the money usually comes from.
I don't think
I think
my
this
kids.
is a teenager type movie.
I don't think my kids under 10 would care for this movie.
This is a millennial
My
Gen
teenagers,
Z.
my kids under 10.
Yeah. This is a hot topic type movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get tweens and young teens, and this is like, oh look
It's
how
all
cool.
tood. It's all tood. Do the
It
kids
all-
say tood?
It is.
No.
They
This
should.
is-
Stop.
This is what
on.
brats. What is that?
I don't know. I'm trying
Anyway.
TikTok stuff.
Kent, you're 40 now.
Yeah, you're right. I should stop.
So first of all, starring Emma Stone doing
Yeah.
a British accent, which I thought was good.
Yeah, it was
but
fine.
also like she did fine with her accent. She did fine with her performance, but it did also feel like she was. It felt like she was performing a role.
Well, she talks in a British accent, yes, but it's extremely heightened.
Yes.
It is not something that someone would actually say. And it's set in the
60s and 70s.
late 60s, early 70s,
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
So, or I guess it would be mid 70s.
Yeah, so this punk rock hero, Cruella, you see kind of her origin story. But mark my words, this is going to be the popular Halloween outfit of this year. Like, there's so
Which
many.
one,
No, that's what I'm
Joel?
saying. There's so many different stages of Cruella, from young to young adult.
No, there's every single one.
Everyone
because
could
it's
be a Halloween
literally
costume.
the opening scene is her birth. Spoilers.
I don't think they're going to dress babies like that. But
It does start out like every one of those movies where it's like,
You're probably wondering how I got here.
yeah, exactly. It's like, my life started here specifically. And then narration will encompass the entire movie.
the narration.
When is she telling this story?
Are we
When-
giving
when
her
is she-
reviews now? Apparently,
Yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
All right, so Zach,
Is there-
you did
is there any
point out.
prefacing?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, what did I point out?
So you pointed out that she started as a baby in this movie, and there is quite a bit of, because what this movie needs to accomplish is, hey, you know that, spoiler alert, 5, 6, 7, 8 for a Disney classic.
Oh, for 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, for 101
Yes.
Dalmatians. Hey, you know that monster that kills Dalmatians and wants to kill animals? Let's bring you back to her childhood so you can kind of relate to her.
Yeah.
That's what this movie needs to overcome.
But the problem is, and I'll say this is, I found this to be a problem. The narration was very, like in screenwriting 101, one of the basic rules is show, don't tell. And there's a part, this isn't a spoiler. There's a part, for example, where she walks into this room where a bunch of people are wearing fancy dresses. And like she has this wide-eyed look on her face. And then the narration's like, it was in that moment that it blew my mind. My young mind was so overwhelmed with joy at this sight, and I found so much. And I'm like, just let the actress do her thing. Don't narrate over it.
By the way, the context of that scene, no one would look back on that memory and think, oh, this was my world.
Yeah.
I belonged here, because the context of the scene is way different tonally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, totally.
So it shows what, Zach, did you say like 18 minutes?
So once I felt like we had moved away from like pure introductory narration,
Which, happened a long time.
yeah, once we're actually looking at Emma Stone and then dialogue actually starts, it was 18 and a half minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
But it didn't end there.
No.
So much so that from a storytelling standpoint, the narration actually never stops.
No, it continues throughout the entire movie and then catches up right at the end.
Yeah.
Which was...
So it is consistent that way. I'll give it that. It's just not. It's not a book.
It's not
Like, we
necessary.
don't need that inner
It's
voice.
lazy screenwriting.
Yeah.
They're telling us how the character is reacting instead of letting us see how the character is reacting.
Yes.
And that drove me nuts as a screenwriter. Well, so I did start off on a little sour note of like, oh my gosh, just let me see what's happening.
If you saw the trailer for this movie, that's where like the comparisons immediately start. And that's where I was the entire movie. This is basically Suicide Squad for kids. This is Joker for kids. This is a Quentin Tarantino movie for kids. This is, even though it's not for kids, it's for, for the tween crowd.
Devil Wears Prada.
Devil Wears Prada.
With a villainous edge for kids.
For tweens. Like,
Yeah.
So it tries to be all of those things, both with the tone and the
I
storytelling.
think there's some Spider-Man in there too.
It's really, really fast and then weirdly slow, because again, it's quite a long movie, but the pace is actually kind of exhausting in many
Yes.
parts, especially early on.
Well, it's because they do these quick scenes and then they rehash the same concept in the next scene.
We're trying very hard to not give any spoilers.
No, I don't plan on it.
Because the majority of the
specific.
story is she works for the Baroness. And the Baroness is a dress designer that's been famous for the past 30
Meryl
years.
Streep from The Devil Wears Prada.
Basically. And this is Emma Thompson in, I think, a very fun role.
Oh,
she chooses scenery
a very
perfectly.
chewy.
Oh yeah, she's delightfully evil.
In all 3 hours of her scenes, because there's so much to do here. But it is a kind of a tutelage / rivalry that happens throughout the movie. And Zach, I think that's where you say, like, the pacing for me, it's like, get on with the point.
Yeah. There's a lot of fast action, but a lot of slow plot movement. It's a strange balance.
So speaking of movement, before we get to spoilers,
kind of like Zack Snyder's Justice League.
take it easy.
Like all of those times,
that is perfection.
All of those times where Steppenwolf goes back and talk like, "Oh, we're giving an update."
Oh, you mean the parts where you actually realize what his motive is?
Save it
Zach?
for our Snyder Cut review.
All those crucial times.
I loved
but
it.
Ken, I think you're going to say the same thing as I want to say, is that the editing is bizarre.
Yes.
Where there's some abrupt cuts. Well, okay, so when I watch some movies on ClearPlay, I expect, and so if something jumps, I don't hold that against the director, because I'm like, that was the machine jumping over a scene, and I'm okay with that. Like, I've accepted that. In this movie, which I might add, we did not watch edited. It was just on. It was your screener that we got. It said Kent Dunn right on the screen the whole time,
And the date.
and the date. But it would do these weird jumps where like the music would cut out and just you'd hard cut to the next scene, and it felt like, whoa, did we miss something there? Was there a glitch?
It's interesting because generally Disney will do that a lot with jokes, and they'll have a joke in a scene and then it will cut.
Yeah.
Like not even pan out. It will just cut. And you're like, okay, I guess that was kind of funny. This movie is not really attempting humor. It just wanted to end scene, because I think this is a lot of well-written scenes that they're like, oh no, we don't have an ending. This is a Shaggy Dog story, kind of the movie, where it's like, we don't have an ending for any scene, so let's kind of patch these together with music and
Shaggy
editing.
Dog?
The Shaggy Dog story is where a story's pointless. You keep going with it, and you're like, oh, and the Shaggy Dog got wet.
You're talking about the old Disney movie Shaggy Dog?
But it's based on a trope of a Shaggy Dog story where it's a pointless story someone would tell at a
okay.
party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's how this movie felt to me, is like, it's a patchwork quilt where there's no real punctuation at all, ever.
Sequences are very interesting.
Yes.
Certain scenes will start to develop and you're like, oh, that's really cool. But yeah, there's nothing. Do you know what really that weaves it all together?
Can I say this? No, you're supposed to say no. And
I'm
not
like,
gonna talk.
yes, you can say whatever you want. It's a podcast.
It felt to me like, when you do a film festival and you give everyone in the group an assignment, and they all have to use a word and a theme, and then come back together. It felt like they went, okay, we got this whole film festival with all these people. what you got to do. You got to have Cruella in it. She's got to have some sort of rivalry with her boss, and you got to throw in a music from the 60s.
Very British music.
Everyone comes back, and then they just hammered it and cobbled it together. Because every single scene, they play like a minute of a popular song and then jump to another popular song. The soundtrack got distracting at parts where I was like, okay, we get it. You're afraid of silence because you just have to fill every moment with a popular song of the time. And I don't understand why. Like, they must have spent a fortune on licensing.
It probably has a bigger double album than the Forrest Gump soundtrack because there's so much popular music used here, where to the point where we questioned if there was an actual score. In the end, there was a score.
There was.
Yeah, but it took like the third act of the movie for us to actually hear the score, which actually I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Once the original score kicked in.
But the song choices weren't bad. They were really on the nose, though.
Too on the nose.
Like,
to the point where it's like, Joel, there were a couple times during the movie, very comedically, was like, oh, I bet this is going to happen. It was based on the title of the song.
I shouldn't kill the mood like that.
Should she stay or should she go now?
Yeah.
Reaching to... go ahead.
You were just going to say
Well, reaching to the ultimate point for me, which we were like, okay, what song's next? And I literally guessed the final song of the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was super obvious.
Well, and even they take some leaps where it's like, okay, I get what you're going for. That didn't work. Like when there's a scene when dogs are being washed, and the song that's playing is Car Wash. And we were like,
probably a 20-second segment.
Yeah.
And that's all they need.
At the car wash. I don't know why.
Because it says wash.
Positives. May I do some positives?
Yeah, let's do it.
The film has a look.
It does.
It has a look. It has a feel. And it stays in that the whole time. And it's a unique look. Like even when it ended and we had to rush out of there because we had to get over here and start recording, I actually was kind of sad because I was enjoying the look of the end credits.
The end credits are actually pretty great.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
No,
the positive.
Yeah.
The positive is the end credits.
They were cool because they we didn't have time to watch all of it, but even Zach said it was kind of like a Bond movie.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden they brought in a lot of style, and what Cruella brings to the table in this movie is style and a new fashion that is kind of deleting the old British stuffy fashion.
Right.
Yes.
And I think as a character that really works. For Cruella, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the real thing we have to cover before we get to spoilers is does this movie accomplish making you feel for the villain? Should it?
Well, my
Did
big
you get to a
concern,
point? Yeah.
if you've listened to past episodes of Baconsale, this is one of the movies I hoped bombed because I said, you know what I don't want? I don't want them to be like, oh, she doesn't skin puppies. She's really just misunderstood. Mm-hmm. And there was a part, I'm not going to say anything right here in the spoiler-free section, there was a part where I just had to throw up my hands and went, they went there. They went there in kind of an odd way, I thought.
Yeah. Was it the part where I laughed out loud?
That's the part where I got up and walked out.
There was the part where you literally walked out of the room.
Yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess we've all kind of given our reviews now and feelings, but
while we're on the positive notes, I think the costumes were amazing.
Yeah,
The costumes were outstanding. I wouldn't be surprised if it's considered for awards.
I was going to say it probably would get nominated, and it might deserve it.
I'd be fine. They're really cool.
And even though the scenes don't go anywhere, looking because the camera makes you follow. There's never one shot, right?
That camera, I don't know if
the camera follows. You
tripods didn't exist back then, apparently.
Yeah, but there's one shot where it comes through the ceiling and goes all the way to the basement where you see Cruella washing the floor, and I was like, well, obviously there were a lot of cuts there, but how cool was that? And so your eyes always have something to do during this movie.
Almost exhausting.
It felt like that. Like my first note here was that there's a lot of cool camera work, and it was like the camera won't stop
Got a little
moving.
dizzy, maybe, right?
Here's an interesting
always
thought.
zooming and panning.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the stitched together camera work and the CGI dogs. This movie has more CGI than the movie Tenet, guaranteed.
I bet you're right.
I believe
Yeah,
that.
because Tenet was pretty rooted in reality.
Yeah.
This is like
Well, and this is smoggy skies taken
couple
straight out of
CGI
Mary
characters,
Poppins,
and then just with some of those unrealistic camera movements that would never happen.
Yeah.
It's a lot of CGI in this movie. Surprisingly,
I don't think I didn't hate it. And in fact, if people say they like it, I'll be like, that's fine. Go ahead.
If 30 minutes were cut, I think this would be a pretty nice
It
movie.
would be much
it
better.
needs to be a tighter movie with a quieter soundtrack.
And that I don't. Yeah, the soundtrack was distracting at times. So I didn't hate it, but it is absolutely. It feels unnecessary to me. I like Cruella de Vil is one of my favorite Disney villains.
Yeah.
And this did nothing to help. In fact, I'm going to say that this is not the prequel to the animated 101 Dalmatians.
Almost like it needs another movie.
This is the
get to that
prequel
point.
to the live action 101 Dalmatians,
Okay.
which I've already disowned.
You
So,
have?
I'm not a fan.
You're not?
No, I like
It's
the
kind of
animated
90s kitsch, though.
one. Nah, I was never a
Emma
fan.
Stone is Glenn Close.
Yes.
Okay.
And Jeff Daniels is different in this movie.
Yes.
Anyway,
So what does that bring you to grade-wise then?
2. This is 2 stars for me, 2 out of 5.
Okay.
So I'm putting it in a place where I'm like, look, I can understand why other people would like it. Not a fan.
Sure.
I don't think it's offensive or harmful in any way. I just think it's excessive.
I would say lazy. Like, that's how I feel. In a sense of like
I
storytelling.
think
like,
they shot for the moon.
No,
and they didn't know how to hit it.
It was more like, I'm talking story-wise lazy.
Oh, yeah.
Not production, because they did put a lot of effort into the look and feel of this. They really did. I'm saying story-wise, it was exactly what you'd expect from an origin story about a villain. We connected the dots, we painted the numbers.
But so
done.
much painting, though. So much dressmaking and rivalry that's in there. It just didn't need it.
No.
So I'm giving this one a C. Not
C seems generous.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm like, I'll probably never
you
watch
love
it
Emma
again.
Stone.
I would probably, yeah, it has
Would
Emma
you show
Stone.
this to your kids?
Nope, they wouldn't care.
Okay.
2 hours and 15 minutes? No way they would care about this.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd be like, where are we at in the movie? We're 37 minutes into this movie.
There was a part where we had to pause it for a second or something, but we all went, it's only halfway through.
What is there left to do?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Zach?
This movie was directed by Craig Gillespie, and I guarantee you Mr. Gillespie has posters on his wall from movies made by Quentin Tarantino, Edgar Wright, James Gunn. It really feels like a bunch of other people's work that he's emulating here. Which he's done some really cool movies, Lars and the Real Girl, I, Tonya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this just felt like kind of copycats in other ways. That said, I really actually liked Emma Stone's performance. I don't think her being Cruella is earned at all, and we'll talk about that in spoilers.
Emma Stone being Cruella.
Emma Stone being Cruella, I don't think that's earned. Because it's a character transition that just happens. And I also I really liked Emma Thompson. So
Yes.
because of that, I think they elevate the movie along with the look and feel and then the costuming. But that said, I still land at like a 5 out of 10.
Okay. Not super great, but
It's so middle of the road, you know?
it is.
I'd say less than middle of the road, but
Yeah.
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 Like the production, good. Story, meh.
If it had
Acting,
I liked the characters, the caricatures. If it didn't have that, I would say maybe not. But I actually liked Emma Stone.
okay.
Okay. So, time for.
Well, before we do, would you recommend paying the
yeah.
$30 to watch this?
Who
early?
are you asking? I wouldn't pay $30 for anything Disney puts out.
I mean, would you recommend to others if they said, "Hey, should I pay the money?
0%.
Should I pay the money to
I'll
see
be
this?"
like, hey, do you miss Tim Burton from like 30 years ago and want to see a 2 hour and 30 minute
dare
movie?
you? How dare you?
No, this is microwave Tim Burton. Let's be honest.
Microwave Tim Burton. Yes, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, heavens no, I wouldn't recommend
I'd
this.
say if you want to see it in theaters, yeah, sure, but I wouldn't pay $30 to see it on Disney Plus.
No, I would say see it in theaters or wait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
matinee
actually
prices
say
or wait.
don't do premium. I think it is worth seeing if you are really interested. If it seems like a cool thing to you, or if you for content or whatever reasons, didn't want to see those DC movies I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But definitely not on Disney Plus.
Or want a better experience like Maleficent that went its own way with its story, but is slightly better.
How dare you?
Maleficent.
I know, I
is
had to
better-
bring that up.
Maleficent's better than this?
No, this is better.
Oh, this
than
is better than Maleficent,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
For sure.
I would agree. Oddly
Yeah.
enough, I would agree.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Cruella spoilers. Cruella spoilers. We're gonna spoil this movie. We're
Cruella
movie
spoilers.
You do good work, Joel. Just want you to know that.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, yes, now we're gonna spoil Cruella.
Guys, let's go back to famous origins. Let's pull it back, right?
Gather round, children.
young Bruce Wayne was walking through Crime Alley with his parents. And his parents were gunned down. So spoiler, sorry, but we're in this section. Gunned down by Joe Chill, which led young Bruce Wayne to train himself to become vengeance, to
8 years
become
old.
the knight.
Why are you talking about this, Kent?
So what?
Spider-Man.
Thank you, please.
Let just a common thief run by who ended up carjacking his Uncle Ben's
Guys,
car.
but you're
and
talking about
shooting him.
heroes.
Do you have an origin you'd like to share, Joel?
Superman.
Yeah, Superman is a
His
thing.
parents died on Krypton, and then his dad was a jerk and let him watch him die in a tornado. And he became Superman.
Origins. So young Estella, because she is Estella with a side personality of Cruella.
Like at the very beginning, her mom says, "Oh, don't be cruel. You're not Cruella. You're Estella."
Basically, she was in boarding school. Didn't be long because she liked to bedazzle her jackets.
Yeah, and she is born with half white, half black hair, and apparently that's like the weirdest thing to ever.
She grew
control.
up with no shame. She was like, "Fine, I won't be Cruella, but Estella is going to show her true colors."
Yes,
which is black and white.
The split hair,
and she walks in and immediately gets very bullied by Crab and Goyle. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And so it doesn't work out for her, and so her mom takes her to this ball.
We don't know why.
Night. Yes.
We don't know why.
And, clearly you're like, she's asking for money.
We
or
vaguely
something
hear
like
the
that.
mom asking this rich lady for money.
And this is right after she says, "This is the best moment of my life. I found out where I belong." And then some Dalmatians start chasing young Estella.
Because she's gotten into the party where she's not supposed to be.
And these are vicious CG creations.
And who called the dogs on her? Was it Mark Strong?
No, Mark Strong tried to chase her down, and then the dogs got let go.
Because
So-
there was also her little puppy.
It was independent of anyone else. And then when she ran outside and she was like, "Oh no, they're going to bite me," she saw her mom standing in the moonlight, standing on this precipice, talking to the Baroness. And she goes, "Mom, help me." And then all of a sudden, she falls. The dogs jump over the bushes and push her mother
Three
like
CGI
off
dogs.
a cliff.
3 CGI dogs jump up and push a woman.
Dalmatians killed Cruella's mom.
That's why she hates them, guys.
That's why I did those origins. What the heck? I was like, and we try not to talk during these movies. It's kind of hard, but I was like, no.
We got whiplash from the tone shift.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. It was such a tonal shift because before this movie, it's like, rebellious little girl, yeah, fighting for freedom. Girl, I am woman, hear me roar. Literal quote from the movie. And then that happened. All of a sudden, her mom just gets pushed off and killed. And it's like they were trying to be a series of unfortunate events, or a Tim Burton type movie.
Yes,
but it didn't fit. All of a sudden, it was laughable when that happened.
It was
I think it was trying to be shocking.
We needed her to get to a point where she was an orphan, so she could end up with Horace and Jasper, because that's the fun story we know from the movie.
In my life, I've never
cared.
thought that Horace and Jasper knew Cruella when they were younger.
They were hired one day.
They were best buddies all their lives. I never got that. They were hired thugs
and that
hated her and she
Jasper,
hated them.
Cruella and Jasper maybe had a thing.
Well, I've been shipping Jasper and Cruella for the longest time.
Yeah.
So to see the relationship, blossom on screen was amazing.
They were having a moment.
But the movie doesn't really let that go. I'm going to give props to the movie for following that story where there's a twist involved, and the movie relies on it in the end.
Do we want to just spoil that twist now?
But we have to. We're in the spoiler section.
Which the twist, if I may say, for all of us,
spoiler.
Ultimate spoiler for this movie, which I didn't see coming. Did you guys see coming?
I knew there was a parentage somewhere along. I thought it was a grandma.
Yes. Okay.
And she disowned her.
So come to find out, because the whole time Cruella is working for this Baroness, and she finds out that the Baroness is the one who actually, sicked the dogs on her mom. And then come to find out, dun, 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 actually the Baroness is Cruella's mom. And when she was born with half white, half black hair, she said, "Ooh, get her away." Then this Mark Strong, the butler type character, took the baby and gave it to the maid, who then raised Cruella as her own. And then she went back to say, "Hey, we need help." And the mom killed her because the mom had a dog whistle that apparently tells the dogs to push
it
people
is
off a
kind
cliff.
of an Iron Man sort of story where Iron Man fights a different version of Iron Man in every movie, where it is fitting for the end of the movie when you see Cruella, who is like glammed out at that point and knows who she is and what she wants from Baroness. And Baroness, who's this straight up narcissist, who is this actually really good villain.
Really good, but overused.
Oh, totally overused. Because there's so much screen time, they didn't have anyone good enough. None of her lackeys could really do anything. No. The Baroness's lackeys could do anything worthwhile.
No. Mark Strong was just stoic.
Yeah, the screamer guy that was there, the guy with the glasses that would just react to things. He never said a word.
Well, truthfully, I'm wondering in this movie if it's just telegraphing that twist or whatnot. But at one point, I was like, Emma Thompson is the actual Cruella.
Yes.
And it felt like Emma Stone, or actual Cruella or Estella or whatever you want to call her, basically formed her alter ego based on who the Baroness was.
Even through speech and everything.
Because once Cruella was talking to the Baroness, when she had assumed her final form halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
felt like
my final
It was like
form.
this. It was like I'm Estella, and she killed my mom. I'm Cruella now.
instant white makeup split.
It wasn't even kill my
hair.
mom. It was she has the jewel that my mom had.
That's right.
So she didn't care about my mom's death, and she said, "I'm going to ruin her
She said
business."
my mom was a thief.
Yeah.
And so out of nowhere, that's what I talked about earlier. Like this was completely unearned. There was no arc to it. It was just like, and now I'm bad. And when they were basically talking to each other, it felt like the same character was talking to themselves.
Yeah.
They were acting the same. They had the same heightened, sassy accent. And it was almost confusing.
Yeah.
but I felt like it was a copy.
But you guys, I have a serious question for you.
Okay.
How long does it take a dog to poop?
That was stressing me out so bad.
Weeks.
They go through this. They go through this half-baked heist.
I'm so glad you said that on a show.
They go through this half-baked heist to get this necklace that the Baroness has that Cruella wants.
Family heirloom.
Very sloppy heist. Really no point to it.
And not funny either.
No, they try to make it goofy. And
I actually thought for kids, like since one thing was like there was a dog dressed as a rat, that all the guards would be like, oh,
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't even all that entertaining to watch or slapstick.
No.
Anyways, keep going.
Well, so then during the heist, one of the Dalmatians, one of the 3 CGI Dalmatians, eats the necklace. And so then they decide to kidnap the dogs in order
To the tune of car wash.
to the tune of car wash in order to wait for the necklace to appear.
Yes.
Days pass.
Days and montages.
Could have been months. I don't know how long it went.
And Gone in 60 Seconds, it happened in the same evening.
well,
The same
and I looked
thing
it up.
happens in Gone
I
in
looked
60
it up,
Seconds.
gentlemen. Gastrointestinal transit time for canines is 6 to 8 hours.
It was a big jewel, though. Maybe hard to pass.
6 to 8 hours for regular. How many movements did that dog have to have before the thing would actually come out?
So
Yeah.
I remember when my dog swallowed toothpicks, we gave him
Ooh.
Epicac, and he threw it up immediately.
Oh,
Yes,
good. Okay.
because a lot of the driving part of this story is the Baroness holds events and Cruella crashes them and steals the attention. It's all a battle of attention.
That takes up an hour of the show.
It does. Well, what is she having these? Let's say she's having a ball every weekend. Within the montage, she has at least 4 or 5 different balls or events or something.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for the dogs to poop.
Yes.
That poor dog. She should have just taken it to a vet.
So 5 weeks.
Also, apparently, Cruella's a brawler. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
When she's like standing up to all the security guards with their walking stick, and I'm like, no. Cruella is basically bone and skin.
She was an orphan. Maybe she's a street rat.
She wasn't. No,
She's a little fighter.
That was
No.
the portion of writing camp when somebody wrote that she was.
I think
a
that's where they
superhero.
were trying to make her like Harley Quinn, because you see Harley Quinn in these movies kicking butt, and you're like, okay, that's kind of.
but Harley Quinn, you
superhero-like.
believe it.
Yeah.
Also, but apparently Cruella is fireproof too, because she literally lights her flash paper dress on fire. Doesn't even singe your hair. That's flash paper.
Are there any spoilers that you guys liked?
Hunger Games.
Any spoilers that you guys liked?
I like the Batman moth thing.
That was cool.
So she
It's creative.
Yeah, because she makes this beautiful dress for the Baroness. Cruella does, and she sews all these beads on them, and then
It is the stunning selection of the spring.
It's
design,
like
whatever.
her centerpiece.
Yeah.
And then they put it in a vault to kind of hide it away from Cruella, who's been stealing all her designs. And then when they open it up, come to find out all those little beads were moth cocoons.
Yes.
And then they've eaten all the clothing, which I thought, it's kind of cool. I don't know if the science checks out.
I wish this was more for pacing reasons. This was more cat and mouse, where it was back and forth, where the Baroness
very
got
one-sided.
revenge as well.
It's just taunting.
Yeah, because the Baroness was kind of like, well, I'm mad. She got the upper hand again.
Curse you, I'll get you.
And that's it. But I wish it was more like Cruella was at a disadvantage, because you never really feel pity. You're just like, oh, you're just embracing your dark side. That's kind of really slowly. Okay.
Well, and then there's the one part when they're singing. They have this event. They ruin one of her events, and then they look out and they're doing this whole 70s rock concert,
Yes.
which I don't know where they got the permit for that. But
The cops came.
Well, even the lighting and setup, I'm
Yeah.
like, that took a while. But they're singing this song about I'm going to
Horace
be a
and Jasper,
dog.
by the way, super talented musicians.
Who knew? Who knew they learned all
Jasper
that?
could really rip on an axe.
DJ Horace over there.
Yeah, but then they're singing a song called "I'm a Dog" or "You're a Dog" or "Let's Be Dog." I don't know what it was. But then Corella's wearing this kind of Dalmatian print jacket, and she's like, "Oh, she killed my dogs and wore them," and I was like, okay, I don't think she did, but apparently we're supposed to think that you think that. And then come to find out, she's like, no, of course I didn't kill the dogs. That would be ridiculous. And that's when I got up and walked out of the room. So I'm like, that's it.
That would be De Villish.
Ah.
Oh, and she's named after a car.
Yeah, the Coupe de Ville.
Yeah. They say, oh, look, this guy drives a car. It's named, oh, hello, this guy got a car. It says devil. And then he says,
It's pronounced de Ville.
devil. Oh, that's my name now.
Solo.
Yes.
Did you see, what was the point of the end? When
With the
she
parachute
inherited,
dress?
Oh, I don't want to talk about that.
Parachute dress.
That was just ridiculous. Like, it reminded me of, if anyone remembers Angels and Demons, the Dan Brown book and movie that came out, has a horrible ending that's similar to this one.
Yeah.
But in the end, she inherits this mansion that she rightfully inherited in her family, and with a really weird ruse. But then it's like, now what? To me, there was no now what. What is Cruella's? Does she just want to be rich and make dresses? Or does she just want to embrace, hey, I won?
And that's what I asked at the end. I said, how? How did we get, and I'm not asking for another movie. Please don't give us another movie.
They kind of need one, though, because we don't know why she hates dogs.
But why she gets
Other than the fact that they killed her mom, but not really.
But then she ended up befriending those very same dogs that killed her mom, because apparently in this world, dogs live for decades and never change. But those same Dalmatians, she's befriended at the end. And I'm like, how do we get from there to Cruella de Vil?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
It's 10 years, she says.
Do you think if
Also, she has a dress that turns into a parachute when she falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
There's a spoiler for that.
Is this Disney rewriting history because they think most people or young people won't ever remember or even care to watch 101 Dalmatians? That they won't know of the kind of villain she is and what she did. Other than a couple headlines. Because maybe they'll say, oh yeah, Cruella would never do that. But she's still pretty bad.
Well, and Horace and Jasper hated Cruella. They were like, you can't treat us like this. You're being a jerk. And then she just keeps doing it. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And how does that get to them being like,
I think you're hot.
well, like when in the 101 Dalmatians, when she's just like, you fools, you imbeciles, and smacking them up. And they're like, oh, sorry, Cruella. And it's, how do they get to that point?
Yeah.
Like if they were hating it before, I don't know. This movie didn't think things through.
I think they're planning for a sequel.
I hope not, but maybe.
Cruella.
I hate it so much.
I wonder with this movie, it almost feels like it was a template of a completely unrelated story. Like it wasn't supposed to be a Cruella thing, and they kind of made it into one.
Yes.
Like, I think everything Disney about this movie is what's wrong with it. You take away Cruella. Let's just say it's a Devil Wears Prada type story. You take away
and maybe darker.
You make it a a darker, not necessarily R-rated, but just bring a little more edge to it.
What ambition does to you.
Yeah.
Chop it down by a half hour.
Make it shorter and have the villain end the story as a proper villain, like not redeemable.
But then it's a question of, what's the point? Like with prequels,
What's the point of Joker?
With prequels, a lot of times you know where it's going to end up, and that there is a hero that will stop them eventually. Like even spoiler alert for Split.
Yeah,
that movie would not have been good had it been not. Oh, he's going to face David Dunn. Yeah. This is an Unbreakable sequel.
But do you know what the Joker did? Is it never spelled it out? Does he put makeup on? Yeah, but he's some crazy guy that could fit in any timeline. Yeah. And yes, they were like Bruce Wayne and Alfred and that sort of thing.
And that's the worst part of the movie.
And that's the worst part of the movie because it's just about some guy's decline. And that's why it really works.
I wish it was just about some fashionista's decline.
But he even gets caught at the end. And if the villain doesn't get caught at the end, this is just from viewer perspective.
Would you like to see her behind bars screaming like a mad woman?
With snot dribbling down her nose?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then she says, we're going to start a league of our own.
But that would have been a little more like Joker, too.
Okay.
And so maybe they didn't want to go that route. But like when you have an anti-hero story or a villain origin story, the comfort that the audience has, that the peace of mind they have, is knowing that the villain will get caught in the end. There is a hero out there that can't stop them. Because otherwise it's just open-ended.
At the end of the movie, she's the most popular person in London. Cruella de Vil is the most popular person in London.
Yeah.
Like, why would we care? Why is that a villain?
It's not.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if we really do think about it, now we're going to break down Cruella, but she turns to madness as Cruella. She is the Baroness, more or less.
Yeah. And
she's trying to push that envelope. And so she pushes the envelope so far into the I'm going to skin puppies. And that's why she's truly evil, because she's fine with that. I think she spent a lot of time being decently regarded, but like, ooh, she's creepy.
Maybe.
Oh, you're,
Much
but
like the
you're,
Baroness.
but you're writing fan fiction now because you're getting into what could happen.
I think it's just an assumption.
Yeah.
Because the Baroness is also like, I don't know about her, but she's accepted. Basically, Cruella this is an origin story of a character becoming a character that's already in the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
She doesn't even become her own thing. She just becomes the Baroness.
Isn't that
which is
essentially
just her mom?
Isn't that essentially what the Godfather is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we saying that Cruella is the Godfather?
So
Except
maybe
for Michael
Cruella
never
2 would be
wanted
good.
to become what his family was until he was brought in.
That's true.
Yeah.
Reluctance.
Cruella's the Godfather.
Anyway, we've kind of gone around the pipe here a couple times, but I think overall, none of us were overly impressed by this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were nuggets of goodness. Mm-hmm. I did.
Is it when the dogs finally pooped?
Gross.
Yeah, I had
I mean,
to.
I thought Emma Stone did a good job.
She did.
Not a great job, but a good job. She did well with the hand she was dealt. Mm-hmm. And I think Emma Thompson
She
was
plays-
great,
yeah.
but overplayed. Like the song you hear on the radio, that's great. And then like Smooth, Santana, great song. You heard it a dozen times in one day and you're like, okay.
It's kind of like when you see a character chew the scenery. If they steal the scenes, fantastic. If they're in every scene, no thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one I probably won't watch again.
I don't think I will either.
I'm not mad I watched it.
Yeah. And it's only PG-13 because of the mother killing, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else that is really...
Because that would be upsetting to kids.
Yeah.
Although they kill parents off all the time in Disney movies, so I don't know.
That's pretty graphic.
There's no language really that I can remember or nudity. There's
Is all
there's a
in
David Bowie gender bending character.
There's a
but-
Cockney accent with a lot of characters. You don't know if there's bad language.
True.
Yeah,
That's true.
A lot of the language in The Gentleman went over my head.
That's true.
as it
Same
should.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for now. But yeah, let us know if you're going to see Cruella, if you're going to pay the $30, if you're going to see it in theaters,
you did
or
see
just
it.
wait till it's free on Disney Plus.
And let us know what you think. We'll be here. How long does it take a dog to poop?